Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Gam of Gymnastics Podcast. This week I'm joined by Daniel Purvis, an ex-gymnast who helped the London 2012 Olympic team achieve their bronze medal, and now owns his own gymnastics club that's been running for the last 8 years. We'll talk about his journey, transitioning from gymnastics to life outside the sport, and his advice for the next generation. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Gam of Gymnastics Podcast. Today we've got a very special guest. He's an Olympic bronze medalist who now owns and runs his own gymnastics club, Daniel Purvis Gymnastics. And the name speaks for itself. We've got Dan Purvis today.
Hi Winston, thanks a lot for having me on, mate. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. So let's just go into a little bit of background first. So how did you get into gymnastics? And when did you know it sort of became a serious endeavour for you?
First got into gymnastics really because mum and dad were both PE teachers. I was a 90s kid and sport back then was a lot for everyone. I think that generation. My older brother was a footballer, and being from Liverpool, that was sort of the main sport young boys would go into. But for me, I mean, not only was I not very good at football, I just wasn't interested in it. I was just very hyperactive, running on the football field, climbing up trees. I just preferred just doing hyperactive things. I just didn't take the football at all. But there was a PE coach of mine when I was 7 that recommended to mum and dad, why doesn't Dan go to a gym club in Southport? And it's about half an hour, 25 minutes from my house. And I did my first recreational class. It was a Saturday morning. And after a couple of weeks, I got selected for the gymnastic boys squad in Southport. And the head coach at the time was Jeff Brooks. And for me, just starting gymnastics was incredible. I just loved it. I loved being able to use my energy, going on all the apparatus. But then getting involved in the boys squad was like a milestone, really. I mean, I was probably 7.5, close to 8 when I got onto the squad. But for a good couple of weeks when I was at the recreational classes, you'd watch the boys train and you see them on the rope climbs, doing leg raises, swinging around the bars, all that sort of thing. So when I got onto the squad, I just jumped at the opportunity, and my hours went from 1 day a week doing a Saturday morning class to probably 9 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I just loved it. And finally gave me confidence as well, not being one of the footballer kids, being a gymnast and being proud of that.
Nice. So would you say that's when you sort of started to, well, I guess based on the story, you already took it seriously and you always wanted to like pursue it, but when did you sort of know that you could actually sort of get somewhere in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just, I didn't really know what I was signing myself up for. But because I just love developing techniques, pommel horse, for instance, trying to do 1 double leg circuit and 2, and then it got exciting. Parallel bars, swinging the handstand, all these sorts of great technical things. And then that went into competitions. And it wasn't until I got onto the GB squad when I was 10 that it was a big eye opener. And coming together and seeing boys from all around, not just the Northwest, but around the country, and coming together at Lilleshall. And getting that letter to be on the national squad program was like, oh my goodness, this is what it could go to. This could be going to international competitions and traveling the world and all that sort of thing. But mainly it was just for the love of the sport until I got onto the Great Britain squad and realised what it was sort of all about and what the vision was at the time for Great British gymnasts to go on to.
Nice, yeah. So obviously you've become this icon in British men's gymnastics and Scottish men's gymnastics as well. And you've become an inspiration for so many different people, including myself, to be fair. But I wanted to know, did you have any inspirations growing up that were similar?
Well, yeah, thank you, mate, for that. I mean, I think back then it was my coach, Coach Jeff. He inspired me with the stories he used to say about he was very big on sport, a totally different sport, athletics, and saying how hard he worked to get to the level he did. And he engraved those levels of discipline in me and the boys that he coached. So I was always trying to impress impress Jeff and the other coaches itself. But in terms of athletes, you know, when I got older, when it was the Commonwealth Games in Manchester, and I saw the likes of kind of Kai Jackson, Darren Gerrard, Craig Heath, and I think even Baz Colley as well, who's representing Scotland. And, you know, that was one of the first times that I ever saw great British adult gymnasts on TV. And that really inspired me. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is what gymnastics turned into. It's on TV. It's British male gymnasts. And it was great to see. And then also just going to training camps. You know, I was sort of always looking up to the other gymnasts, really. There was Dan Keatings, who was my age, but he was always the front runner. He was winning the NDPs, the Northwest Close, the British Championships. And I was always thinking, I just want to be able to be as good as him. And I was always chasing him, and I had that catalyst, really. So again, he inspired me as well. And then probably, it may sound a little bit different, but the boys, when I was training in my gym, they were a little bit older than me. So I got into the squad when I was 7.5, 8. It was probably about 8 and 9. I was trying to push the older boys and try and overtake them. So I think watching boys in my group do skills that I was trying to do, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to show them. That inspired me as well. You know, I'd love to look back on things, because it's a different world now, isn't it? And you know, you can say it was Fabian Hanbusch, and he was having a video call with you now, and you could be a younger gymnast. I mean, that was hugely inspiring. So it's so exciting for youngsters now to be able to see, you know, their heroes and be inspired around them when it's one click of a button sort of thing in this modern age. But yeah, there's quite a few mixtures. But overall, I think I was just trying to prove to everyone around me and mum and dad as well that you know, I can try and be the best gymnast I could be.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you certainly proved yourself right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was you know, a long journey, and it was just trials and tribulations, but you just keep going for the love of the sport, and you never know where it can end up.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you had London 2012, which is going to be obviously like one of the biggest, or well, the biggest competition. Were there any other competitions that stand out to you in your journey that brought you to that point?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few really pivotal moments, I would say. When I got selected for Volos Greece, it was the Junior Europeans in 2004, and I was actually the reserve for that team. And that was a huge eye-opener for me about doing a huge international competition, European Championships. And preparation was great, but I was just so nervous. And I remember, as you know yourself, Winston, when you have control competitions or your internationals, you're looking around, aren't you? Especially when I was at that competition, it was all new to me, and I was very intimidated by other gymnasts, and I actually lost all my skills that I knew I could do, and routines. And Andre, national coach at the time, would take me for extra training sessions. And the time the competition came, I felt very confident, but it was a big eye opener for me that I just need to try and focus on myself and not worry about other people. Even at a young age, I was probably about 15 at the time when I went to that European Championships. And it was great. We got a historic team 4th at the Junior Europeans, and it was great to be a part of that. And then that led to 2008 European Championships, when it was me, Dan Keatings, Theo Seeger, Rhys Pearson, and Sam Oldham. And there was a bit of pressure, a lot of pressure going into that competition, because we were one of the favourites to beat Russia for the first time, which we actually managed doing and getting the first team goals for European Championships, which was that was a pivotal moment. And myself, I came second all round, and Dan Keatings was first. So for me, it just gave me a big boost in confidence going into then my senior career. And then from there, I'd probably say the next biggest highlight for me was 2010 World Championships in Rotterdam. And the year before that, I saw Dan Keatings and Christian Thomas. Dan was in London, the O2 Arena. Dan Keatings did amazing and got a silver medal, and Chris did amazing and came 5th all round. And I said to myself, man, I just want to be in that situation. If I'm ever selected for an all-round competition for Great Britain at World Championships, I'd love just to be able to say I'm in the top 8 in the world. I think that'll fill me with confidence, and I'll be happy then, you know, the rest of my career. And fortunately in Rotterdam, I had a great competition. I finished 5th all round, and then the next day was the floor final where I got an individual bronze medal on the floor, and I think that was such a big boost for me. Then going into 2011 World Championships, 2012, and then onwards to the rest of my senior career. So yeah, there's quite a few big moments there that I look back on, and I think that was it made all of the setbacks and everything else. It all had to happen. It feels like for me to carry on to the career that it went into.
Yeah, it's like everything that happens is the reason why you're in the exact position you are.
Yeah.
And rather than thinking of it as sort of a setback, it's just sort of a stepping stone, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. And I've seen so many gymnasts as well, unfortunately get injured, and then they may be away for a year, 6 months, but then they've got right back to it. And then you got to think, if you never got that injury, would you have got to that level? It's one of them. I think it teaches you resilience and being positive. And yeah, you've got to feel down, but of course, that's the fire in your stomach that wants you to get back. And I think some of the toughest things I've seen is when friends of mine, gymnasts, have been injured, or I've been injured, and you're seeing other gymnasts progressing and getting better. And I think it's just really important that you're going to get your time back. You've just got to trust the process, really, and get your body back to 100% until you start to really get back into the swing of things and get back in the competition, because it's going to be ups and downs and roller coasters for everyone, but you just got to stick at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that my coach Luke Folwell says a lot: trust the process. You got to trust your program. You got to trust the fact that you're going to get back when you do have injuries. And as much as sometimes it feels like when you lose skills, for example, like you said that even you did, like you have to trust that it will come. And yes, you might have lost them, but you've managed to get them before, so you should be able to again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like Luke said, I mean, what a great career he had, and it's great he's passing on his knowledge now. And I know he was just such a hard worker. Again, you talk about inspirations. I used to go to Huntingdon Gymnastics. My dad and my mum used to take me any club they could, just so I could get a bit more sort of expertise. And Paul Hall, he was running the squad there. Dan Keynes, Lewis Smith, Luke Farwell, other gymnasts as well. So I would go there and see them train, and it's a totally different experience. So again, all of these things, it was all learning. When you look back at it, it's all worked out. But yeah, especially when you are, and it'd be great to talk about it, those injuries and not beating yourself up. Like Luke says, trust the process and trust the program. And I think now as well, there's so much information on rehab, pre-rehab. I see it now where I coach in Southport. It's under not my head coach Jeff now. It's under a boy called Jacob, who's doing a great job. And a lot of these young boys now are doing pre-rehab, things like that. Things that didn't really exist when I was a gymnast. So yeah, there's so much expertise now. You really can trust the process, I feel like, because there's a lot of information out there to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So been beating around the bush a little bit, but want to go on to the 2012 London Olympic Games. So before you actually go on to the experience itself, how was like the qualification process? Like what happened, and yeah, just how was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. The London Olympics was just so fantastic. And we were all such a young team. I was 21. I'm guessing Lewis or Christian was the oldest, 22, maybe 23. And then it was Sam and Max, who were only 19. So, I think it was a great idea from the coaches, Andre and Eddie Van Hoof at the time, to take us to a pre-camp in France. So we were there for about 2 weeks, and it did feel like a long camp. But when we finished that, we all felt very prepared, and then we went into the London 2012 arena, and it was huge. I mean, I don't know if you've done a multi-sport event yourself, Winston, but it's no, okay. Well, it felt to me like a World Student Games or something like that, where you've got not just gymnastics, you've got all the other disciplines as well. So for us, I think the common thing was told by the coaches: just stay in your bubble and don't get too intimidated. And again, like it was like the lottery. If you're on holiday, I mean, the food was just incredible. So, but you're used to your routine as an athlete. You know, you've got to try and stick to that routine the best you can. Fortunately, the gymnastics was first on the menu. So we didn't do the opening ceremony. We watched that on TV because we were up first thing the next day for qualifications. And I think that was really good. I think it just got us straight into it. We didn't have to wait all day thinking about the crowd and the nerves. We were nervous enough just performing at the Olympic Games. It was such a huge feeling, and it felt like it more than a World Championships or Europeans. I think it's definitely that multi-sport feeling of it. But I think after the qualification, that's when, for me, the penny dropped that there's so much more media attention. And I think we qualified, I can't remember, we qualified maybe top 5 or maybe even 3rd. And I think we all had a great competition. So, yeah, I was getting messages on Facebook from school friends I hadn't seen in years, and, maybe even like just so random, just random people. And I was like, well, I never got this in 2011 World Championships or 2010. So I was like, This is huge. This is massive. It gets shown all over the world. But for us, we'd done all the training. We felt very confident as a team, and we just knew that as long as we qualified, then we've already made history, which is great. So when the team final came, it was just, let's just go out there, do our best, and see what happens. But we did a podcast a little while ago during the pandemic, and we were all talking about it. And I know Christian, I think Sam and Lewis, I'm not sure about Max, said that they thought, right, we've got a good chance for a medal. Where for me, I wasn't really thinking of the medals. I mean, I've always just, any competition I've done, I've always just thought of my routine sort of thing. And if the results happen, they happen. And it was only going throughout the competition that I could see, oh my goodness, we're very close to a medal now. But we actually started on pommel horse, and I was first man up. So it was pretty terrifying. To this day, I can't remember getting through the routine. I remember all the other routines, but it was just the nerves. And, I just knew I had to stay on that piece because I knew Max and Lewis will probably smash it because they've done their routines 10 times out of 10. So after pommels was done, I did start to relax and enjoy the competition then. And rings, I remember we all messed up a little bit of our dismounts. I don't know why we didn't start to chalk it up, because we all took some steps, but it was okay. We got through that. Vault was amazing. Max did his 2.5. I did my 2.5. And then Christian's got his iconic Yuchenko double pike. And the amazing thing about that is I think he only learned it that year. I remember at Lillestrøm saying, Dan, can you watch this vault? Can you film this? And me and Andre Christian looking at it, and then to see it stick it in London 2012 and the pivotal moment to probably getting the medal was just amazing. And then we got 3 parallel bars, and then we had one fall on a high bar. But I think that really set us up then for floor, because it was sort of, right, we're so close, in Ukraine are chasing our tails. China's already up there. Japan we're very close to. So, it's go for broke. And then, I feel like I did the best floor routine of my life. And Max went on before me, did a great routine, and Christian finished off. So it all just came together. And then we actually won the silver medal. And the crowd just erupted. And it was just like, oh my goodness. And then Japan contested that, and we ended up getting a bronze medal. But I think me and the boys, we just were so happy to get a medal. But I remember the crowd just, the booing was like, oh my goodness, this is like being in a football stadium. So, but it was a really cool thing to experience, because, gymnastics now is getting bigger and bigger. But when I first, doing gymnastics for many years, the British Championships might be in a school sports hall, and you're trying to get people in, just to get an atmosphere, to be there, and then to achieve something great with my teammates and friends. It was, I look back at it now and I still get goosebumps. And I think it really set then the path for what you guys have gone on to do and continue. And all the GB boys and girls that have just done fantastic, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was like the perfect storm, because it was home games, and and getting the medal really put gymnastics into sort of the mainstream. And I can only imagine the atmosphere that it was. I didn't actually get to watch that, but I can only imagine being in that arena, like that energy would be.
Yeah, it was like anything. And hopefully one day, mate, you get to experience it yourself. But it's great that you're around quite a few Olympians as well. Joe Fraser from your club, and the boys will all tell you probably similar things, that it is it is massive, but it's still gymnastics at the end of the day. So that's the thing to take away. Preparation is key, and even no matter how nervous you are, if you've done the numbers and you've had experience of putting your hand up and trying to deliver under pressure, then you can go on to do great things. And especially at the Olympic Games, I think you can get the best out of yourself at the highest level of competition. So I hope it's something you can experience yourself one day, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, me too, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously there was a lot of preparation, and in that preparation there are a lot of good bits, bad bits. What are some of the most challenging moments or things that you've actually had to overcome to get to that point?
For me, self-belief was a big one. Especially when I was younger, I just always thought I was the worst gymnast in the room, or when I went to training camps, I just thought, well, I'm not as good as, say Dan Keatings, or there was other boys at the time that I just thought, oh my goodness, no way. And it, even there's a boy called Theo Seeger. He was a huge talent, and he came up later. And I trained with him for many years at Liverpool, 17, 18. And I'd always compare my sort of talent to him and think he's so much more talented than me. So a lot of these things always sort of knock my confidence. But so that was a struggle. And then quietly training hard and getting results and just enjoying it for the love of the sport, I think really got me through that anyway. And then injuries, touch wood, I was always quite fortunate for injuries. I used to get a lot of blisters, a lot of cracks in my hand. And I don't mean like normal blisters where you can soldier through it, like cracks and slits. I remember it was 2009 World Championships, and I was going there to do just floor and rings. But a week after that, I had a competition in Spain, but I'd split my hand. I remember they had to super glue it because Andre wanted me to keep training for that competition, of course. So he had to super glue my hand back together, and it was a pain. It was a good strength test there, certainly mentally as well as physically. And then let's see, definitely. I don't know if you've seen my. You probably have seen it. My vaulting incident where I landed on the judge.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one of my most viewed videos ever. But the story behind that was I actually got food poisoning, and that was at the European Championships when we were going into hopefully and win the seniors right before London 2012. So that was probably that's the hardest thing I think I've ever gone through, and it's something I look back on. I think whenever I'm having a bad day, just think of being food poisoning and starting on vault and having to do all 6 apparatus, and it was rough. Fortunately, that was a qualification. And then we went on to, actually do really well in that competition. And then at the same time, as well as that, I had a twisting problem. Now, have you ever had twisting problems, Winston?
Yeah, not like recently, but I've had them in the past.
I think a lot of gymnasts experienced them, and I don't know what the reason is behind it. I spoke to other gymnasts, and it'd be good to have some sort of psychologist or something just to say this is why it happens, because it's the craziest thing. But yeah, I was really struggling with my double Arabian, and I kept twisting out of it, and it was so weird. It just came on me one day, and it really, really affected me hard, because that was probably 2012 that started to happen. But my floor routine was probably my best apparatus in 2010, getting that world medal. I had to change that double Arabian aspect of the routine, and with the straight leg rollout, I think it did set me apart from some other routines. It was a bit different. So yeah, I was really gutted to lose my double Arabian, and it went on for months, and I couldn't change it up until the lead of the European Championships. But then after that, I just had to refocus, and this is a great thing about gymnastics. You can always change skills, and they might still be the same value. So I changed double Arabian to handspring double pike and finished with handspring double tuck. Now, physically, that was a lot harder, but it gave me an avenue of, right, I'm not twisting. And then years later, I actually got my double Arabian back, which was good. It just showed me that sometimes these things take time, and the more pressure you're under, the worse these problems get. But then apart from that, it's just a normal sort of going through the grind, going to Lilleshore on a Monday morning for camps, or you've not prepared as well as you wanted to, and you know that you've got to show your best routines and everyone's watching you, that sort of thing. Like we all deal with as athletes. So, I was at the show for a good 7 years of my career, and one of the hardest things was coming home on a Friday afternoon, stuck in traffic, sore, chalk all over you, and it's just, it's great to look back and it's so much character building. But then knowing that you have to be up Saturday morning to train again, it was it's always been tough, but again, it was fun. That was the main thing I've done it all for, more than the medals, everything else, going with my teammates, my friends, feeling proud of my achievements and training sessions. That's what got me through a lot of these trials and tribulations.
Yeah, like it's the little wins that sort of get you through it, because yes, there's the big achievements that are like incredible at the time, but they're so few and far between that you need something a bit more consistent to actually keep you sort of on track, rather than just the big achievements. Like if you're aiming for just the Olympics and it's like, depending on how old you are, like 4 or 8 years away, that's a long time to sort of have one goal and that's the only thing to keep you focused.
Oh, that's it, mate. Yeah. And I think that about many things. I mean, it's got to be passion first of all, hasn't it? I mean, so many gymnasts now or forever have started in the recreational just because of the love of the sport, and then it's only gone on to bigger and better things if they've put more effort into it. But yeah, you have got to keep reminding yourself why you're doing it, why it's tough, why you're getting up in the morning, why you're trying to achieve this new skill. And I think because it just makes you feel so proud of yourself when you've done something you never thought you could do before, like maybe catching your first release or going through a really difficult pom routine at the end when your arms are knackered and, you don't get paid and you don't get, there's no one watching other than you and your coaches and your teammates in that gym. But if you can get through that hard work and you can back yourself when it comes to putting your hand up under pressure at the highest level when you've gone through it. And, for me, one of my proudest achievements was in the gym training. And some of the funnest as well. Some of the best laughs I've had has been with my boys when it's been a hard session, hard slog, and we've managed to get through. I really miss those days, even though they were tough. And it just teaches you that resilience at the highest level.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have fun in the gym and you can have that sort of enjoyment in the sport, then it just becomes a hell of a lot easier to get through the sessions as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, probably 2016. So 2017, I was training more, pretty much all the time at Southport, unless I was at a training camp, and I was a bit down with not making Rio, and so was Jeff and Frank Baines, one of my best mates. We trained super close, and I was sort of hoping to help him more so as training partners, and he got me through that as well, just through all the laughing and just like I did at Liverpool with all the boys, and like I did when I was younger with the older boys. It is that morale boost to just help each other, and you're so close with your coaches and your teammates because you're just training with each other all the time. They know you probably as well as your parents do in some ways. So yeah, it's great to be around you, especially when you're having tough days, and we all go through it as gymnasts and pretty much as warriors. I mean, the things that we put our bodies through is tough. So there's that mutual respect as well, which I think is so important in our sport.
Yeah. What would you say some of the differences are in terms of how you trained, how you competed, your mindset between the start, like the end of your junior career / start of your senior career and the end of it?
I think the start of my junior career, like talk about Volos European Championships, and then going into 2008 European Championships. The difference there was the first one was such a surprise, and it was such a moment of, oh my goodness, should I be here? I was the reserve. Let's make the most of it now. And then 2008 was, right, I've deserved to be on this team. We're going for a medal. That was a big change. It was this different sort of pressure, not just being there wanting to do your best, but also okay, we're here to do a job now. We're here to try and make a name for ourselves. And then that really went through to probably 2010 when I first got a world medal and fifth all round. And like I said before, being sort of top 8 in the world was really going to fill me with confidence. And that's basically what happened after that. I felt like I was one of the best gymnasts in the world and competing on the World Cup series and being with likes of Fabian Hambushi and Koei Uchimura, Oleg Benayev, all these sort of legends. And sorry, come on, buddy. And then feeling like, I belonged there. That was little dog's being a little terror tonight. That just filled me with a lot of confidence. So it was a big change, not just being there competing, but feeling like I belong here. And then I sort of kept that feeling all the way up to my senior career. But I guess the pressure then got to more medal orientated. And I'm not sure how it is now with British gymnastics, but it used to be the funding, so the A, B, and C. And 2010, I got my A funding, and then all the way to the end of my career. So, I didn't really think about the money, but the results I was getting helped that. So that was massive. That was a huge help there. So my mindset certainly changed in terms of the belief in it and wanting to go out there and deliver. Sort of, especially after 2010.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there is still that sort of, there are levels to funding still, but I know there's more of them. I think there's like down to E, I think.
Okay.
Now. So there's still like ABC, but there's also now D and E. It's called APA, Athlete Performance Award now, and there's probably a lot more like bureaucracy around it now, but yeah, and it's probably also a lot more accessible. I say probably because I don't know. But
I mean, it needs to be really, because athletes are giving up their lives. It's I don't know. Everyone individual is different, but I never. People listen to this and they say, "Oh, Daniel, you're never going to be a rocket scientist anyway." But I gave up my education for gymnastics, and it was the love of the sport. And at any time, I could have got a big injury and not had the money I earned through gymnastics has given me the life to set up my own gymnastics club. Now it's great looking back on that, but some gymnasts haven't been fortunate. So it's important that you are funded. I think at any level, and listen, there's a lot of politics that go into that, but I think for the individual athlete, it's going to help. It needs to be life after, gymnastics for you guys that are in it. I feel like if there's a way.
Yeah. Before we go into like life after gymnastics, which is going to be there, what more about like the training side of things? So you had obviously a few injuries here and there throughout your career. How did you balance the training with the strength and conditioning and also recovering from injuries? And how did you sort of manage that in terms of your time, in terms of your energy and all that sort of stuff?
I mean, I didn't cope well under injury, I'll be honest. Unfortunately, I wasn't too many injuries. I mean, I was just so like stubborn and so like when I was a gymnast and so like headstrong that even if I'm injured, I'm going to work on injury and that sort of thing. And I remember when it was a training camp when I was younger. It was in Glasgow, and I had severs at the time. I remember Sam Oldham thought he brought it up on it when I was on his podcast. I had my foot in plaster, and I was doing a stupendo Healy, and Sam was like, "I just saw you do 50 and just hitting your ankle on the bar over and over." So I'm not the best example to learn from when having an injury, but yeah, I mean that was just me as an individual. I remember it was 2018 as well. No, 2017. I was at the Canadian World Championships, and I broke my hand. I did my cuts, and basically my fingers ended up touching my wrist. And it wasn't nice. But I knew I was going to probably finish at the Commonwealth Games for Scotland, which I was so excited to do the year after in 2018. But that was very early on, and my hand was about 2 months in recovery. But I was doing like round off flicks on one hand, things like that, just because I knew I didn't have the time to to really rest up. I was trying my best after that. So please, any young gymnasts listening, this is not advice. This was just me being a little bit crazy. Listen to your coaches. There's a lot more scientific evidence out there to rest and recover. But saying that, I think there are other things you can do in the gym that's really important. So I remember when I hurt my ankle, I got really strong sort of on rings. I was doing a lot of parallel work, lift a handstand, putting another weight on my ankle, um, all those sort of things, double leg circles, things say, because that's the great thing about gymnastics. There's always something else you can sort of do, even if you are injured, even if it's choreography and how you stand and how you present and your posture and, you know, and just being in the gym, I think is really important. I think once you're out of it, I've seen it before with gymnasts, once you go out, they get a taste of real life and friends, what they're doing, and it's different. I think it's important if you want to stay in the sport to still be in it. As much as you can, don't get me wrong, you need a break, of course, but, you know, like I was saying before, everyone's so close in the sport, even if you are injured, and it's frustrating, just, try and stay in it, because people around you are going to be supportive and understanding, because everyone's going to get injured, and you just got to hope that it's not a career-ending injury. But I don't know if that answers your question, but those are sort of my experiences.
Yeah, sort of like do as I say, not as I do, sort of thing, rather than like following by example. So a bit of a different one. Like, obviously, you've competed in some of like the highest pressure environments in the sport. Obviously, at the Olympics, in the team final, and then at the Commonwealth Games and World Championships, all those sorts of things. How did you handle that pressure, especially with, like, as you said, you struggled with self-belief and all that sort of stuff. How did you handle that pressure?
Definitely experience. Just getting used to competing. And, you know, we don't get, in gymnastics, you don't get that many competitions to prove yourself. You might only get one or two chances to try and get onto a team, to be selected, to go and do a World Cup. But I think really, probably going back to 2010, definitely 2008, coming second all round, was massive for me, seeing that, wow, okay, people, like, not people take me more seriously, but I'm taking myself more seriously as an athlete, that I deserve to be here. And then 2010, coming fifth in the world, I could always look back on that and think, no, come on, you're having a bad session or whatever. It's like, no, you've got to prove to you, you've proven to yourself you're up at this level. So that gave me a lot of confidence. So then from there, I got to do more competitions, to be honest. I got to go on the World Cup circuit, and I just learned through experience, putting my arm up and traveling and being tired or jet lag, that you still got to go out there and do your job. And it just cemented how important training was and just being as consistent as you can. So, you know, I was never a trickster really in gymnastics. So if I had a program of 8 weeks of my routines, I wouldn't really do add-on skills. And I just think for me, because I thought, I know how nervous I get in competition, and I want it to almost be like muscle memory. So if I'm trying different things, so for instance, taking a cuts maybe on P-bar instead of a Diamondov, something like that. You know, I might try it up until, you know, I'm thinking, right, I'm starting to do control competitions, and I need to know that I can get through this routine like 10 times out of 10, really. So that was a huge one for me, training. And then when I was going around for these competitions, quite often I'd get through the routines. And mistakes still happen, even when it is routines 10 out of 10. As you know, mate, you know, pressure's a different thing. You don't know until you get there, and it's the spotlights and the crowd and how you actually feel on the day. But yeah, I think understanding my program and having a great working relationship with Jeff, who's a huge mentor, and Andre, they work together really well, which was brilliant. And yeah, I think all these things just came together. But don't get me wrong, because as soon as I had a bad competition, I was always thinking I was the worst again. You know, I still got those thoughts. I was thinking, rubbish, I don't deserve to be here, all these things. And then getting back in the gym and just enjoying it. And probably learning new skills again and falling in love with the sport, that helped me massively as well. So it was really up and down. You know, when good times are good, they're good, but when they're bad, they're hard, and that's when you have to sort of back yourself, remember why you're doing it. So it was always an ongoing thought for me, my confidence. But yeah, those are just some of the key takeaways I can look back on. I think maybe that's why I managed to achieve some decent results.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just numbers, I guess.
Yeah, numbers, and doing it under high level pressured situations. And even when you're not 100% or you're not feeling great, if you can get through your routine I think that's a great feeling to back yourself. And don't get me wrong, you want to feel 100% as well, because that's how you're going to feel normally at a competition when you've got that adrenaline. You almost feel like you're in a different body sometimes. And but it's just, it's a lot of it's mental as well. I think that's a huge one. That thinking your routines and just having little get outs sometimes. If you think here's a good example: under somersault 1 bar. I hated that skill because I was always thinking, well, if I can't do that, then I can't connect the Healy. Then that ruins it. But I used to think, well, okay, worst case scenario, I drop off the other side and do upstart and I can carry on. That filled me with confidence. And then normally that never really happens because I had it in my head that I've got to fail safe. Now, things like releasing catches on bar, I was never a specialist at. And, always hats off to the gymnasts that were chucking Cassinis and Colemans and catch because that's high risk, high reward. And that's probably something I would struggle with as an athlete that I wish I had more of that, like gutsy, go for it and, high risk, high reward sort of things. But yeah, so just things to look back on.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, because my high bar is one of my better pieces, I would say that for me, it's just numbers. It's just doing them and feeling confident that you can do them no matter what bar you're on, no matter what, how you're feeling, no matter where it is in the routine. Like I've struggled quite a bit with Coleman because I've only got 3 skills before it, but even after those 3 skills, it becomes just so much harder. But it's just like I've managed to do it now. I managed to do it in combination. So it's just a matter of doing more numbers before I can then put it back into routine, because I've sort of taken it out for the Welsh just so I know I can get through the routine, and then hopefully for English and British I can put it in because I want to do the full routine. I want to do the full difficulty. But it's just numbers. That's
brilliant, mate. And that's what I was sort of trying to allude to as well. You've got your plan A and your plan B, and if plan A is not going, then you still got a good routine for plan B, and you can keep that going. And that's exciting for you, mate, to know, okay, I'm not going to use it this weekend, but I'm going to keep, that's my target, to get through it. And you're only going to get stronger from doing your plan B routine anyway, stamina, everything else. So you might find when you put Coleman back in, it's a lot easier with those 3 skills before it because you've been going through the other routine. You get me? Especially bars when you're trying to finish off on a dismount. It's it's tough.
It's tough to get through it.
Those releasing catches. Because do you do a lot of Coleman, Kovac's, catch-ups sort of thing?
Yeah, so, the routine I'm going for is squat full, squat half, immediate piatti, shoulder straddle, Coleman, Kovac, straddle Kachev, quast, double, straight.
That's big routine. I mean, that's brilliant, that. And it's got a bit of everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the end, I want to be pushing for like a mark higher start value, but for now, it's a good routine. And I think what I want to do eventually is take out the Kovac type elements, because they take up a lot of energy for one skill. And if you can do a skill with either the same or higher difficulty for less energy, then it's going to be like infinitely more beneficial, because you can get through more skills in the more bigger skills in the routine then, and you can increase the start value like that, and you're more likely to get through to your dismount as well, is what I've sort of been thinking.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you just got to think what skills you find easier. I mean, the Japanese, they look like they do Coleman's and Kovac's for fun, don't they? Just a bit built differently. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about that is, I mean, I wish that, and there's only one time I competed Coleman, and I caught it at an American Cup, and I was made up. And then we've talked about losing skills. I lost it, and I was gutted, mate, because I finally thought, people are going to look at me like a little bit of a bar worker now as an all-rounder, because I normally finish on bars at World Championships and always not feel embarrassed, but I wasn't doing the big releasing catches like Philip Boy and Kobe Uchimura. So I was gutted to do that, but yeah, it was the main thing I got hammered for was Quasts and Rabalcos, stole the Rabalcos, but I had to have them in to build the difficulty. But they're a lot more easy to deduct. I mean, things have changed now. I think you guys have got to catch on the bar with straight arms, and you're going to get a big deduction. Which
I mean, to be fair, they've lightened up on the angle you can be at in terms of past handstand in a cross
Okay.
Barco, Stolder Barco, all that sort of stuff. So now it's like 0 to 30 degrees, you get non-deduction. Whereas like in squat half, squat full, you have to be 0 to 15. So you get like twice as much leeway for quads and stuff, which is quite nice,
That's
if you want to be doing them.
nice. That's nice, yeah.
Sense.
So it makes sense then, yeah. So maybe replace, some of the harder elements, but that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess there's no better feeling. And I've, like I say, I've only caught it once in a competition, but that was probably the best physical feeling I've had of catching a recent catch and thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be on this bar, but we're going to give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
A great feeling.
That little feeling of letting go of the bar. Like,
yeah, you're literally letting go, aren't you? You're just like, oh, come on, I've got this. You wind it up.
Yeah. Like there's nothing you can do in the air to make it any closer or further away from the bar. So as soon as you let go, you're just trusting it.
Just trusting, aren't you? Trusting that wind up, yeah. But like you say, it is a numbers game. Gymnastics. If you stick at the numbers and it's percentage, you got a lot better chance of nailing that routine.
So do you know what sort of changes there has been to like the code since you've finished? Or, well, I guess there's been two, actually.
You know what, mate? Not overly. I'm so far out of the game, which is why I love to go to the British Championships and see what everyone's doing and what new skills they're doing. I mean, speak to Josh Champion. He's one of my best mates in the sport as well. He's a great coach.
It's 13 hours.
And he fills me in, with what his boys are doing routine-wise. But then after that, mate, it's I spoke to some of the other teammates that have left the sport now. This last Olympics was such an eye-opener as a fan. Not only did it look fantastic, and GB boys and girls absolutely smashed it, and it was great to root for them. But yeah, just seeing a difference in the code of points. I mean, Luke from Leeds, I thought he was going to get a medal on floor, and I didn't realise that one of the things now, if you land too deeply, you lose, like, is it 3/10, or you lose the value of the skill?
He lost 5/10, and then the connection between the two skills. He didn't lose either value of the elements, but he lost the connection. And I don't know why it's like that, but I guess it just is.
Yeah, I mean, that seems very subjective. If you were wanting someone from another country to get it, it's like, oh, he's slightly, unless you start to get AI and you can see it like a football goal going through, and is it on the line or not? I mean, but it's what it is. So that was an eye opener, because I was like, I'm waiting for the score to come up, and I was like, oh, what happened? And then I think Luke, I think he explained that in an interview. Other than that, it's good to see some skills coming back. Like that's what I like about seeing the new code. I mean, was it 2016? There's a lot of front upright skills, front upright Yamada, front upright studs. And I don't know what sort of the skills now people are going for, like the popular high level ones.
Well, it depends on what apparatus, I suppose. Like, we still don't really know about this code because there hasn't really been any competitions. At the very least, there's not been any majors. In terms of what we think is going to happen, Gingers, Jaegers are going up in value. Gaylord and Pagan are going up in value, so those are sort of the releases on bar that are going up. So probably some more of them. You have to do a double somersault finish on floor now, which is something. So, and like obviously all the skills are going down as well. So in general, you'll probably see more double somersaults because you have to do double somersault forward and double somersault backwards, at least one of in the routine. Pommels will stay relatively similar, except you're not allowed to do Roth and Wu in the same routine. And obviously a lot of people would do both.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Tong Fei type skills. You can't do more than one of them. Probably more like sewn to one type elements and stuff like that as well, because you've got less skills, so you've got to increase the ones you can as much as possible. It's only a 10th extra, but rings, you've got to have D swing to strength and D strength to get full requirement now. So like back up straight planche, lower to Maltese is probably going to be quite popular for those that aren't massively strong. Lower to cross is now up to a C, so I'm doing that now. In terms of like the highest level on rings, I'm not sure really how much that will change.
Yeah, strength is strength, isn't it?
Strength, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably going to see some, still going to see some crazy stuff from like Zhu Jingwan and Liu Yang, obviously, because
I did see for some Japanese or Chinese in Homna, the Russian lever cross.
oh yeah, that's crazy.
That looked really cool.
I mean, I can imagine because like the amount of sort of control you'd have to stop yourself in half lever, but Russian, sorry, but also stop yourself in cross at the same time.
I know, mind blowing, isn't it?
Absolutely crazy. Like, and we're both Well, you're an ex-gymnast. I'm currently a gymnast, and I can't even fathom trying that.
I think it's one or the other. Do a Russian, be happy. Do a cross, be happy. But putting them together, that's another level.
Yeah, but like even like Honma to Russian, like how do you stop yourself up there?
Yeah, you literally have to stop. Yeah, I know what you mean, like the biomechanics of it, because you've got to stop the rotation to get into that. Yeah.
How do you not like fall backwards? That's the point.
And unless I've only seen the one video, so unless he's got 100 edits, but
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, like I know Courtney Tulloch, at least used to. I'm not sure if he still will, but do Russian cross in his routine. But he did it from Nakayama.
Yes. Yeah.
Which seems like a more logical way to get into it because you're going upwards into it rather than forwards into it.
Yeah, more logical, probably less risky as well.
Yeah, you would think so. Maybe it was just for like an Instagram post or something, just to show that he could.
Have you seen his routine for Gymnastic Superstars? So this was like an expedition Sky did, and quite a few of us were on the card. Right. It would be on his Instagram. It's more like a show, and one of the things he does a crosses his legs, turns around and winks at the judges. And it's like,
wait, who's that?
Me, Courtney.
Oh right.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea he did that.
Yeah,
he said I've definitely heard him say in interviews like cross is like a rest position for him, and I'm like, how is that?
He's always just been naturally so strong. We'll see him at like train, like when he was a kid, 10, 12, him and Units doing Maltese, crosses, Nakayama. Sometimes he works super hard as well, but I know that I could train for 100 years, never get that strong. So it's just in you, isn't it? Yeah, and they're like different, almost a different sport, ring specialist.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to be a very different build to be good at rings.
But then saying that, he's fantastic on vault, he's fantastic on floor, he was great all around. So yeah, it's good. I mean, if you could be good on rings massively, then I think if you've got a mark on all normal all-rounders, you've got a great chance to have everything else consistently.
Yeah, especially when some people are going to be struggling to get those D strength hold and swing strength elements. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, you can afford to lose maybe a mark and a half on pommel or whatever, when your rings are so high. But yeah, I mean, am I right in thinking as well? It's 8 skills now.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a game changer. I mean, people might start. I don't know. I guess top of my head doing higher level skills rather than have like the C's and B's to fill in.
Yeah.
And skills just going for broke. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna try and substitute the B's and the C's for higher value elements, but obviously with that there's more risk. So it's a case of trying to figure out the best possible routine so you're consistent and you're getting as much difficulty as possible.
Yeah,
it's a balancing act. Oh, well, to be fair, it always has been, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's nice for training, especially if you've got 2 routines. But saying that, if you're replacing the B's and the C's with E's, and it's just as hard, isn't it? And it's just as dangerous, to be fair.
Yeah, I found that first year senior was was last year for me, and most of my routines I had like just B's and maybe a C, that were my lowest two elements. So I'm taking those two out, and yet I'm still trying to upgrade the rest of it. So, and those two didn't take up much energy. So in essence, the routines have actually gotten a bit harder in some cases.
They've got harder, yeah. I wonder why I've done that. Maybe more just, maybe it's competition time or whatever. I guess if you cut a skill by 2 skills, and it's, competitions go on for a long time, don't they? So maybe that's the thought of it, because everything's like quick and easier access now. Like just in terms of life, things on your phone, apps, everyone wants everything quicker and faster. So maybe that's why, or maybe it is to see if routines will get a bit more variety and spectacular. But it's going to be exciting to see, mate. And as a fan of the sport now, I can't wait to see when the majors are on. It's such a good eye opener, and to see all the videos on Instagram, like yourself and all the other boys and girls. It's great to see what people are working on in the gyms. And I've seen this thing as well. It's you'd have to help me out. It looks like 10 out of 10 score, and people have been uploading.
Oh yeah, it was the Perfect 10 competition. It was like an online competition where you only had it was like any other competition. You only had one attempt, but you had to video it, obviously. And you did 5 elements on each apparatus, 4 elements in a dismount. They didn't include vault in this, and you had to get up to a 2.0 start value. So 5Ds, for example, would have done you. But it didn't matter what element groups they were all in. You didn't have to hit all the element groups. You just had to do 5 elements. And anything exceeding a 2. So if you had like a 2.2 start value in those 5 elements, then it just rounded up. It just went down to a 2. But then you had 8 as your execution. So it started from 8 and then went down, rather than starting from 10 and then went down. So you ended up with 8 start execution and then 2.0 max start value, which was why it was called the Perfect 10.
Okay. I mean that's great. I mean that's a bit of extra incentive to train, like in terms of training, to give your best shot. You're getting filmed, and it's exciting. It's like a controlled competition that's actually going out there for everyone to see.
Yeah, so it was a bit different in the sense that it's not like a full routine and it's not normally marked, but it still used the new code. It still used all the different aspects that you would expect from a competition, but it was just a bit different. It was easier for the gymnast because they didn't have to do 8 skills. It was easier because you didn't have to exceed a 2.0 start value. There was some good aspects of it. I mean, I didn't do it, but I've just heard from other people about it.
They enjoyed it, and it's another platform, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another platform of putting your arm up, and like I said before, there's not that many competitions gymnasts get to do. I mean, it's there's almost that fear of competing because of that. I feel like, or can be. Certainly for me, if I hadn't done a competition in months and I had the British Championships coming up, it's just getting used to those feelings again. So it's not quite the same, but just doing it under pressure on someone filming you I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean that's how I am currently. I mean, I haven't done anything since British teams, and I've got the Welsh this weekend. As of the time of recording this, obviously it will come out quite a bit later. And I've got the English 2 weeks after that, and then hopefully by the time I've done 2 competitions, I'll actually feel a bit more ready for the British 3 weeks after that.
I'm sure, mate. I think that's great. You're doing the Welsh first. I mean, not only a good competition and a good run out. Like you say, it's good. I used to do something similar with the Scottish Championships, and it was early and it was hard to get fit for that. But once I got through the Scottish Championships, I was like, okay, I've got 2, 3, 4 weeks now for the British, and you need that. And I was never at my best. I might do some pretty routines I was happy for at that time of the year, but it's all about that stepping stone and what you want to try and peak for, really. So no, I think that's great. You're doing the Welsh, and hopefully by the British, it's just working everything out, and like you say, with your combing, if you're going to do it or not, and just having your plan A's and B's, so you can put your arm up and hopefully deliver the routines that you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple other things that I'm might do for the other competitions going forwards, because I've taken stuff out, I've moved stuff around. I've done that for floor, pommel, rings, P-bars and high bar. So I like everything except for vault, which I'm just doing a 2.5 for. Which is, like, I'm not exactly going to chuck a triple for the British for no reason. But yeah, like, I guess the Welsh is sort of as a practice run, but it's also just to sort of get out and compete again and get used to it again, because I'm not doing the biggest routines, and then the English will be like sort of a run through, hopefully with the full routines, and then by the British, I'm a bit more used to competition. Hopefully, have a bit more of my mind's in a bit of a better place, and then actually have the routines ready.
Well, exactly, mate. Yeah, I think like I said, once you've done all the physical training, it is the mindset. It is, and hopefully these competitions will help you feel confidence. And even if not, mate, you've still got to go out there and do it. So it's just a case of, it's trying to do the best you can in your training and gain confidence from that. Because sometimes the training it's not fair. It doesn't add to the competition. You could have the best training days and then fall off. And it's life, it's competition, it's it happens in all sports. But you just got to try and give yourself the best chance and go on your prior experiences. You've had a lot of great competitions, so trying to remember those feelings of when you're nervous and you're breathing and everything else. And for me, I just try and train consistently as I could, because I knew I was going to be wetting my pants a bit, putting me on up. Relying on that muscle memory, I think, such a big key. And I don't know how often it's talked about, but for me, that's a big thing I take away throughout the years. That the more I've done, even when I'm so nervous, I can't remember my routine in London 2012, pommel horse, but I've managed to get through it. Okay, and that purely for the numbers.
Yeah. Now we've gone a little bit off topic because I did not plan to talk about any of that. So go on to a topic that we did actually discuss talking about, and I did say we would talk about. So what was it like transitioning out of gymnastics? So going from training probably like 6 days a week to either not at all or however much you did after that. I'm assuming it wasn't much. And then also transitioning to try and create the gym club.
No, it's a great question, mate. I guess it's quite a long answer, really. I think after 2016, I didn't make the Rio Olympics, and I was pretty heartbroken, and I felt like it should have went the other way, and as many do that the reserve or just out of the team. So it was really tough after that. So it was a struggle the next 2 years. Then, like I said before, training back in Liverpool, and Frank and Jeff helping me, and just being around the Southport Gymnastics Club was great as well. But it was very different from being at Liverpool, and I pretty much trained after Theo Seeger and Christian Thomas. We trained together for many years, so that was a big change as well. And Andrei Popov, who's a fantastic coach, and we got to travel the world together competing. I never got to see Andrei, after that as well. So it all shifted me. So I was very much ready in the mindset of I'm ready to retire, but I just want to do it on my own terms. So then having the Commonwealth Games to represent Scotland, which has just been one of the best decisions me and my family ever thought of doing, was joining Team Scotland, because it's been amazing to represent them. That was what I was really hoping for. And that was and also as well, I wanted the best for Frank, to try and get to his Olympic Games he wanted to go to. So I was trying to push him on with training, and you always need a training partner, of course. So that was sort of my aims, rather than me, trying to be. I felt like I've already sort of done everything I wanted to do, other than retire on my terms. So, going to the Commonwealth Games for Scotland, and it was with a younger team as well. It was Kelvin, David Weir, Hamish Carter, Frank and myself. I was the team captain of that, and we got a team bronze, and it was a tough journey. We had Paul Hall there as the national coach, and Marius, Team Scotland, he's been amazing for years. So, that filled me with pride, and I was made up. And then also in the floor final, I managed to get a bronze medal, and that felt quite fitting from getting my first World Championship medal on floor, and seeing Frank Baines as well do some of the best gymnastics that I knew he could do, and having a fantastic games. And I think he got a bronze on the parallel bars as well. So it felt like a fitting end. And then from then, I had an idea, which was to run my own gymnastics club. But I'd never coached before. I didn't have, I think I had a level 1, but I never had a level 2. So I couldn't have been the head coach of my own club. But I had some money saved up from gymnastics to buy some apparatus. And my mum and dad, mate, they've been the backbone of not just my career, as well as Jeff, of course, and Andre. But in terms of my life, like, they've always supported me, and they still help me now with my gymnastics club. But them being 2 ex-PE teachers, they were fantastic of helping me start up the recreational program. And my club's now has been going for 8 years, and it's been the best thing I ever could have done. But when I first retired gymnastics, I went straight into that coaching. And I don't have my own venue, so it's always been in school sports halls or leisure sports halls, so a couple of times a week. But slowly I did find a love that, actually I really enjoy coaching. I've always enjoyed working with youngsters, and if that was training the gym, it's a mixed bunch, isn't it? So you give feedback and have a laugh with them, but to actually coach and try and direct and see kids have a great time through gymnastics, and you've helped them through your coaching, was a great feeling, mate. So I thought, well, you know what, this is if I get paid to do something I love to do, you're onto a winner, and that's just like I was as a gymnast. I got paid to represent my country and train. So yeah, I sort of fell into that, mate. So as much as I've missed gymnastics, I never really got the lows some athletes talk about. I think because I was ready to finish after 16. That was the hardest bit of my gymnastic career to get over. By 2018, I was ready to move on and have a new dream and aspirations, which is, and it still is, mate, to try and get my own gymnastics venue. And it's been going now for 8 years. My club and some fantastic coaches. I've got all of them are. So yeah, it's good. It's been good. But again, it goes back to gymnastics. Gymnastics give me the lifestyle that I've had, and I'll be forever grateful for the sport.
From the people that I've talked to, like, it's quite hard to get out of gymnastics once you're in. Like, once you're in the sport, yes, like, if you get out early, then you can sort of get out. But if you're in it for a significant amount of your life, you're either going to go on to coaching, or you're going to go on to something to do with sports or gymnastics. Like, it's very, very common, because once you've done that for so many years, it's basically become what you know. Like, that's what your skill set is. It's based on the things that gymnastics has taught you, and based on gymnastics itself.
Yeah, mate, definitely. Yeah, so many ex-gymnasts, no matter what level, have gone on to be coaches. I'm just trying to think of a few. Luke Folwell, my friend, best friend, Josh Champion, Anthony Wise, Matt. Like, there's so many that have stayed in that world, because, like I touched on before, your education is doing the sport. If you're going to do something full time, it's very difficult then to branch out of that. Not to say that you can't do it. I know Dan Keaton's, Christian Thomas. I think more Christian, he's still quite involved with British gymnastics in certain ways, but he works for the FA now with football. And Dan Keaton's, he works in, I think it's, some sort of factory work. Obviously, there's still fans of the sport, but there's definitely ways around it. But I think there's that risk as well. Once you move out of the sport, it's very safe, I think. If you, like, for me, if I gymnastic club, I thought, what, I don't want to keep running under pressure of a gymnastic club, blah, blah, blah. I've got my level 2 there. I don't have any university qualifications, but hopefully I could go and look for some sort of coaching role down the UK. So I think if you've got your qualification, I think that's really important as well for young gymnasts coming through. If you don't have time for college or university as well, try and get your qualifications, and try and maybe coach as well in your own club as well, because you never know what it's going to lead into. And you don't get that many sort of options outside the sport. I know Frankie went after he retired, he had to get his UCAP points again, and slowly built up to the physio career he's got now. So there's definitely ways around it, but I think for safety, a lot of coaches and pride and passion. Like I said before, it's not, if you love gymnastics as a gymnast, it's honestly just as good as being a coach and seeing gymnasts achieve it. It really is, mate. I think that's why a lot of ex-gymnasts as well stay in the sport.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess 3 more questions. First one is, if you had a younger gymnast who was looking to make something of themselves in the sport, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, youngster from the first started and sort of in the boys or girls squad, or is it sort of a junior? They've been on the junior pathway and they're looking to be.
Let's say someone who is quite young, about when you would have been selected first to go to be in the GB squad, so like 10, 11, that sort of age, not quite a junior.
Yeah, I think if I was that individual's coach and I've noticed ability with them, and they've said some, I think one of the best things Jeff ever got out of me was he managed to get confidence out of me as a gymnast. So everyone's individual. Some gymnasts have already got that, but everybody's going to have ups and downs, and I think to have that open communication with your coach is so important, and being able to tell them, even if I never used to tell Jeff if I felt sick or injured. I'd always just carry on, and then I might be sick in the gym or whatever, and for whatever reason. But I think if I was, coaching, I'll try and break that communication down, and be like, you can tell me anything, tell me your worries, tell me if you're struggling to get into the gym, tell me if you're scared of this skill, that sort of thing. Not to say that they will, but it's really important, because you are so. I don't think it's like any other sport really when you're coaching gymnastics. You're just there all the time with each other, aren't you? And it's hands-on as well, supporting techniques. You've got to trust the coach, that sort of thing. So I would say, if you're lucky enough to have a coach that you can speak to, tell them what you're feeling, tell them if you're nervous. I think nowadays as well, there's a lot of information online. There's a lot of videos for techniques. Now, this is something I struggled with as a gymnast. We'll be looking at the code of points, and it would be stickmen. So, like for a dismount, you wind up here and you let go there. And it was so hard for me as a visual learner to see, to understand that. It took me a while to get those skills. Where now, you've got your phone, so it's like, I want to see Winston's Kovac or Coleman. Like you can have a look, can't you? It's great. So I'll definitely explore those avenues, the skills that you want to work on and achieve. Try and see videos that of other coaches around the world, breaking them down, preparations, those sorts of things. Use the knowledge. Knowledge is key. I think in gymnastics, especially, breaking down a skill can break down that fear, and you can get that skill twice as fast. Training, you've just got to be committed. You really have. I mean, that comes from within. There's going to be tough times. There's tough times where I remember I was so scared of a blind change when I was younger. Jeff was like, "Oh no," to my mum, just bring him in. And then the first thing he made me do was 10 blind changes on the bar. It's tough love as well, because it's a tough sport. It is. And I got over it through that fear. Again, we say trust the process, but it's hard when you're that kid and you're scared of the skill. But you've got to, hopefully trust your coach that they want what's best for you. So that's another thing. Just be tough, face your fears. But again, if you're scared of the skill, you don't quit or leave. At least talk to your coach about it and try and give it a go. It's never as scary as what you think. That's always something I found as a gymnast. It really is. And you might find it's the best feeling in the world once you've done it, which is often my case. And then as well, the number one thing, mate, I'll say is that you love the sport. Like, it makes you feel good about yourself. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get onto the Great Britain squad, but men and women, you're wearing your club, your tracksuit with pride, and you get to represent your country. It's there's no better feeling there. So I think just enjoy the moment, keep working hard, and remember why you're doing it, and set yourself little goals. Little goals can make bigger goals, and then you never know what it's going to lead into. So never say never either.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'd say to the fear thing is that often you'll see fear as something that you should be sort of ashamed of, or you shouldn't feel, but like it's a natural response. It's your body trying to sort of tell you, or trying to protect you. But if the coach is telling you that you are capable of doing it, they will never, if you've got a high enough level coach, they will know what you're capable of doing, so they'll never force you into something that they know you can't do. So it's about feeling the fear, and that is fine, but then it's about doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's how you get through it.
Definitely, mate. And that's why when you've got that communication with your coach, and they're like, yeah, I know why you're scared of doing a dismount, for instance. You're going to come close to the bar, but you're ready for it. Look at your time and look at this. I've got the padding. And then that's part of the fun as well. That's why we're all a bit mad that do gymnastics. It's a crazy sport, but it's there's no better feeling than flying through the air. And yeah, it's that risk as well, isn't it? That's why I think you keep, for me anyway, kept coming back to it. Even when I was having a bad training session, I'd still have fun. I'd come away and think, man, that could have went better, but I can't wait to get back in the next day.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely, mate. It's great advice as well.
Yeah. When you first overcome that fear, when your heart skips a beat, it's a feeling. And it's one that is, I mean, it's common, as in you'll definitely feel it at some point in the sport, but it won't happen every time. Once you get more comfortable with the skill, you'll be able to do it more often. You'll still feel great when you do it, but then the fear of it will sort of slowly die down. It might come back, it'll peak and trough, and there'll be something still there residually. But I know, say for instance, a Healy on P-bars, that's a very scary skill when you first try it, and you might smash your ribs on the bar. But after doing that probably at least 20 times in my career so far, probably, easily, it doesn't happen as much. I won't say it won't happen again, but it's a lot less likely, and I'm not scared of it anymore.
Yeah, mate, that's such a great example. I literally was thinking Healy. And I didn't really want to say it in case it's in your routine or in your head, but I think as gymnasts, we've all got certain skills, that you might crack your heel on the bar, hit your ribs. I mean, to be fair, I often trained with pads, and I never felt ashamed of it. And I'd always, quite often as well, for a high bar dismount, I love doing high bar dismounts, but I don't know, maybe being younger, I used to pull on the bar a lot. I'd just say, Frank or Jeff, you just put a pad in just in case. Because I know at a competition, all that fear goes out the way because I'm more scared of not performing my routine than I am of hurting myself. But in training, it was like, okay, let's just, don't need to take this unnecessary risk unless, and for instance, rollout, it's a banned skill now. But I would never do a rollout without a mat there unless it was competition. And if I was told to, I'd be like, well, I'm just not, I can't do it. I'll have this mental block because unless it was a controlled competition, because in my head I'm thinking, well, no, it's just training. I don't need to take this risk.
Yeah, I get that, to be fair.
But as gymnasts, we work so hard for those routines. We know on the day that fear goes out the window. It's a different sort of fear, but yeah, it's still going to be there. But that's why we're tough as well, looking at the game. I mean, we always make this comparison, don't we, as male gymnasts? But the beam for women, oh my goodness, the things they do, and they hit the ribs and they come flying off it, or they miss the foot before a dismount. It's like, it's just scary in other ways. So
yeah, scary piece of apparatus that is.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know, but it teaches you resilience, doesn't it? And it's good. Yeah. So it's great that as well. You can say that to younger gymnasts, there's always gonna be something that's sore, and it might not be a physical injury that you've hit the bar. It's conditioning. How sore is it doing muscle ups and leg raises and it's tough, but it's a badge of honor, isn't it?
Yeah. If you can get through the harder sessions, if you can get through the tough bits, that the easy sessions will be a breeze, and the competitions you'll be able to get through those easy.
That's it, mate. And as a gymnast, you might be the only one gymnast in your school. Well, for me, I was anyway. Especially as a boy, you know that no one else has been able to do a rope climb or whatever it is, and you can have pride in that. Yeah, gives you confidence. This sport, definitely. Absolutely,
yeah. Oh my god, that was the first question. Cool. That took about 10 minutes to answer. The second question would be, what's your biggest lesson been from gymnastics? Something that you can now take away into normal life? Where did it go again? Never mind.
It's hard to narrow down just one, but do you know what? I was listening to Niall. He was literally on Sam Alder's podcast, and they were talking about one of the hardest, like when you have a really hard day, and it, not taken away from things that are emotional, like grievances or anything like that, but maybe like the thought process for doing, 2 routines and say it's a Monday or a Tuesday, and how hard that is. There'll be some days where you just get up and you're like, I just feel a little bit flat. Like, this is outside of gymnastics, or a little bit bored today. But it's like, well, at least I don't have 2 routines, or at least I don't have to put my arm up in the morning, or having these fantastic experiences have taught me now just to appreciate life outside the sport, and I really do. As much as I do miss gymnastics, it's the best thing it taught me was resilience and just appreciate your time. The time I have with my friends and family, things that I missed out on as a gymnast. I've got that now, and I can appreciate it so much. So yeah, for me, it taught me the lesson of really could, other than grievances that are going to happen in life, I can get through anything, and that's all the things that we talked about just then, mate, with being a young gymnast coming through, and how hard you have to push to get through something, and once you get it, you can believe in yourself then, because you've achieved something that is so difficult. So yeah, definitely the test of resilience. That's something that I've taken away from the sport.
Brilliant. So last question. Now that you've been on the podcast, now that you've experienced it, who do you think would be another good person to hear from on the podcast?
Oh, brilliant, mate. Well, you're doing a fantastic job. I've really enjoyed this. I haven't done too many podcasts, but I always enjoy going down memory lane and talking about my experience. Your question has been amazing, and mate, there's so many. There's such a pool of men and women gymnasts, and I don't know if you do other athletes that aren't just gymnasts, but I think just try and home in on the ones that my generation, the generation before, maybe coaches as well. It's difficult to say anyone in particular, but probably anyone from my era on the top squad. I'll say Christian Thomas, off the basis of his experiences, not just as a super amazing gymnast, but then also it's such a mad transition. He's in the FA, the football world now. So I think it would be really interesting for audiences to hear, and gymnasts as well, that you can get a totally different career path and be one of the best gymnasts that's ever represented your country. So yeah, I'll give him a text as well, mate. I'm sure we'll get back to it.
I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the introduction. So yeah, thank you. And thank you for all those amazing compliments. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for listening to the Gam of Gymnastics podcast. Please do listen in to the next one, and I'll see you in the next one.